G'day guys, Tom here from Different Drop with our good mate Sam Scott, all the way from Harndorf in the Adelaide Hills. How are you, Sam?
Good, Tom. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me.
Mate, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming. Sam Scott, aka Prova Wines, is the label. Has been a favourite producer of ours for years, and I think what drew me to your wines early on, Sam, was just the exploration of alternative grape varieties, which I think when we started Different Drop, 10 years ago, that was quite new in Australian wine. Not so much now, which is exciting, but you've always had that really clear passion for alternative, but specifically Italian varieties. So I guess for those that don't know your wines, maybe just a quick background about your winemaking background and why the hell you're so obsessed with the Italians.
Yeah, well, look,
I'm going to pour a glass of Fiano for us.
Absolutely. It's all about epiphanies, You have moments in your life when something that you have or experience really changes your views and what you think about stuff. And I remember coming across Sangiovese, and it was like, wow, here's this wine that it's medium-bodied. It's like it doesn't have much oak. It's savoury. And so it was like dry style. So, with food and red sauces. And, about the same time I was getting brainwashed by David Ridge, who you probably know, who's crazy for all things Italian as well. And it really shaped probably what I drank myself more. And, and so you'd be, knocking around vineyards, and I was very lucky to work for a lot of great wineries and people. And, you'd see, Cadger's got 6 rows of Fiano, the first planting in the hills in 2005. It's like, I wonder if I can get some of that and that sort of thing. So, when it came to do my own thing, which I always said I'm never going to have my own label, but then it's like, well, then I actually really had a compelling reason for why I wanted to do it, because I thought there's got to be more of these things.
So where were you at that point, back in 05, 06 kind of time? Where were you making wine?
I was working with Bird and Hand.
Yep.
So they were obviously, really on a very successful extension. So part of what I had to do was find more fruit.
Right.
To make sure they...
Which gave you a license to go out and search and explore the different vineyards.
Absolutely. And so, 20 years earlier, I'd actually been working in distribution with and selling Chana Ponds for Cadge and Jenny Amadio and their son Daniel. And so, I went out there with Bird and Hand because, they needed some reds. It's a beautiful Northern Hills vineyard, and we'll then enter southern Italian varieties.
Fascinating, like Fiano. So you mentioned Fiano, so probably a great segue into this. So this is Adelaide Hills Fiano, and a lovely cool vintage in 23. But Fiano, I think of all the emerging white varieties in Australia over the last 10, 20 years, Fiano holds the most promise for me because it's got flavour, and us Aussies love flavour in our wines, but has acidity and seems to grow really well in our climate.
Yeah, this is like what you would call the most adaptive grape variety. It grows from cool to hot, retains great acid, beautiful flavours. It gets ripe but never gets big. So you've got this delicious, shapely, chalky, pithy wine that's got some fruit flavour, and depending on how you make it and the vintage you got, and it'll just give you a different spectrum of flavours.
Yeah, and when I've tried to describe Fiano to people over the years, you almost say, think of like the structure of a Riesling and the acidity of a Riesling with like the texture and the body of a Chardonnay. And that's probably simplifying things a bit, but gives you an idea. It kind of sits in the middle. It's really versatile.
Yeah.
Great with food. Just a yummy drink. And yours has always been one of our favourites. So.
Oh, thank you. And
I'm just saying that because he's here.
But. Absolutely. But it's and when you see it in the range of growing seasons, you think about, the coolest, wettest vintage I've ever experienced, 2011, is when we made one of our best wines ever.
Yeah, right.
And then you look at the hotter years and the drier years, really responds to that. So I think it's just a key grape variety for Australia. I mean, after Italy, the next biggest plantings in the world of Fiano is Australia.
Is that the case now?
By a huge amount.
How exciting.
It's just delicious, and it's great to see it actually warrant its own place.
Yeah.
In the fridge.
And in multiple regions now too. Yep. You're seeing Fiano in the Hills, in McLaren Vale, in the Clare, in Riverland, all through, parts of Victoria as well, Hunter Valley even.
Swan Valley.
Swan as well. So all those kind of warmer regions where everyone's realised this is actually a really shit place to grow Chardonnay. Doesn't hold its acid, but we need something that people want to drink. Fiano works really well. Anyway, let's have a rinser. Probably not quite doing this justice. Rosato.
Yeah, so Rosato. So this aglianico. So the key with Italian varieties is you just pronounce them fast, particularly with aglianico.
Aglianico.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so this is the red grape in the area that Fiano's grown in Campania in Italy.
Yep.
So this the fruit sourced from Cadge and Jenny's vineyard, in Kersbrook. So it's Northern Hills. It's warmer vineyard, but still in a cool location. So you got the benefit of the elevations. You still get this beautiful perfume fruit flavours with the beautiful acidity because they hold natural acid really well too. But yeah, those red Italian grapes for rosé, stunning.
The best rosés in Australia, I think, without question, come from these Italian varieties. Aglianico, Sangiovese, and Nebbiolo in particular. Look, there's some great Grenache rosés as well, a different style, but the beauty of those Italian varieties with rosé is the savouriness and the acidity. So you get both. You get the fruitiness and the flavour, but you need that extra dimension with rosé. Otherwise, it just gets a bit kind of fruity tooty.
Yeah, and it makes you think of food. It makes you think of what this is. What are my bar snacks? What am I doing? You know, and that sort of thing. So,
how is your Italian, by the way? You fluent?
Terrible.
Molto bene.
Molto bene. That's about it. But that's something for a later date to learn that well because we've got a lot of people of Italian heritage.
Well, you've got the big map up in the cellar door as well, don't you?
Oh yeah, I can find my way around and get around, but speaking it is a bit of a challenge. I struggle with English, mate.
I was about to say you've got to have the thickest Australian accent in the industry. Anyway, but he makes Italian wine. Go figure.
Yeah,
that is absolutely delicious. I love this. I love your Nebbiolo rosé as well, which I think we still got a few bottles of the 2022 around. But this is just, beautiful colour. You can see how light it is, but don't be deceived. That's got some punch. It's got flavour. It's got awesome savoury structure. Just beautiful.
And I think those medium-bodied savoury wines are so important, because they're not weighty, they're not heavy, they don't. They sort of almost invigorating. So I like the wines that are vital and have got some spring in their step.
So how have you found the response to what you're doing? Because back in the day, under the Scott label, you had, Syrah and Chardonnay, probably some others. They're the two I remember most clearly.
Yeah,
and you've ditched that.
Yeah, so we were blending Sangiovese into Shiraz to make it more savoury. Yeah. We had the Fiano in there. We didn't have a fruit source of Prosecco in the Adelaide Hills, so I was making sparkling Grigio.
Yeah.
And then, it just evolved. And what I found is over time, this is my natural affinity. This is what people actually saw and really liked what I was doing. And it was very simple just to focus on that. So, and that was a great day just to be able to singularly think about, well, this is what I really, really love, and let's go forward.
How good. And do you find people when they come to your cellar door or you're talking to them tastings, are they looking for those more traditional varieties, or are they more just excited about having this niche?
They like the niche, and I think they see that it's also a bit of a glimpse into the future of what we're going to see, particularly as things get warmer and dry. Like these varieties all respond really, really well to that. We're picking outside of the hotter parts of summer, so we've got more time to make the right decision, and that helps everything because you're not pressured into, I've got to pick, because of X, Y, Z. It's probably more at the other end on the cooler years. You run out of growing season, so you need to be thinking about that really early to make sure you're managing your crop load and your canopies.
Right, to get ripeness. Yeah. So now, of all the wines you make, there's Barbera, there's Nebbiolo, there's Aglianico, there's Bit Montepulciano, there's Dolcetto, there's Nero d'Avola. I think, I'm talking red varieties, I think Sangiovese is probably what you do best, I reckon, just from what I've tasted over the years. So this is the 2022.
Yep, 22.
McLaren Vale. Hills. It's Hills.
Yeah,
Hills. I apologise.
McLaren Vale. Hills. Yeah, so really it's taken a long time to arrive at this wine. We've been doing Sangiovese for, 13 or 14 years. And so the different clones, it's really site-specific. And it's so you just find spots where it really grows well, and then you sort of fine-tune how you're doing it there and then how to make it, and that always changes. But I think the main thing is just we want to capture that medium savoury wine. We want some bright characters. We want it to be a little bit ethereal, but we still want some fruit. And the Hills really just delivers that up beautifully. So, look, it's still early days for Sangiovese. And, the pioneers always laugh whenever see Mark Moore, to respect to Mark Walpole, and thanks for all the hard work in the 80s. We just come along at the right time. But, there's been those guys like Mark Lloyd Corriel, obviously. There's been fantastic pioneers that, like, when I was working in retail and wholesale, and I was drinking their wines going, these are amazing, these are changing how I, really like to drink and eat. And I think our lifestyle, our culture, everything is, Australia is so far ahead in terms of where we're at in those two things of lifestyle, culture, and, how we, treat food and wines. Great. So it's still the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot of beautiful varieties out there. The Italian's what I love and pursue, but I love sort of drinking a lot of other stuff too, that's as long as it's medium and savoury. Yeah,
I'm with you. I love it. And that's what this is. There's a lovely coolness of the fruit, from the hills, and again, a lovely cool vintage, but it's just fresh. It just bounces along the palate. But it's not juby though either. Like there's depth, there's detail, it's savoury, there's good structure. And that's what is great about good Italian wine is you get all this flavour and complexity without weight. And
absolutely.
And a bit like you and me, mate. And that's and that's what I love about these wines. So guys, look, we've been working with Sam's Wines for as long as I can remember, and we just love them. They're hands down some of the best value around as well. These are all really, really well priced. The consistency, great with food, really versatile, and just interesting to drink and learn about these varieties, because they all have such great varietal definition as well. So, can't recommend them highly enough. And go to Harndorf, on the main street of Harndorf, you find the Scott Cellar. It's open for, half an hour every year? Is that
we're the anti-Cellador. We're open once a month, and we're hard to find.
Once a month, it's great. It's great.
Very peaceful existence.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
Good on you, Tom.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys. Drink La Prova. Cheers.
Cheers.